Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about this week's new releases, let's talk about the Splinterverse exclusive discount for this week. As you know, this year we're offering exclusive discounts every Monday at around 10 a.m. Pacific time on our social media channels on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It is there for you to grab and take advantage of these deals that are not available anywhere else. And this week we have an awesome book. It's called Candlekeep Codex, and it's 50% off through the Splinterverse discount. And it is really fun. It's from Django Games. It's normally $5.95, but you're going to get that at 50% off. It's a best silver seller, 37 pages, and it's got lots of stuff inside. Some of it connects to Candlekeep mysteries, but it certainly can work outside of that. I love books, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing shows like this. So I love this book. I have a copy, and there's so much fun book-related stuff in it. So if you're a fan of books, you're going to enjoy it. If you want to be prepared for when your characters at your table reach for a book on the shelf and you need to detail what's going on, this is going to really help you. There's also subclasses in here with 2 of those, 8 spells, 12 magic items, 5 monsters, and like I said, a ton of books that you can reference. In fact, the next book I'm going to release is going to have something that could really benefit from also owning this. I won't tell you what is coming, but I will tell you that there is some reference material in this book that would go nicely with something in the next book from Splinterverse Media. So you will be ahead of the game if you get a copy of this while it's on sale for 50%. So 50% off through Splinterverse. And you can see it's got a 100 books and a D100 table. 20 of those books are magical, and here's a sample. It's got the title, the author, the language, and then this 3-paragraph description of a book. A lot of times these tables, they give you like a little bit of information about books, but this is like in-depth information about books people can find, so you can really even print this out and hand it to your player and say, this is the information on the book you found, so that if they want to read it or you want to have some downtime activities devoted to books and whatever they encountered, you can really give them something to look at and read, and maybe even have even some more things develop out of it. Maybe you can work together with the player to describe more of what's in a particular book they found. And then there's a supernatural region called Arcane Library, which you can enjoy as well. And then some of the monsters include the Entomer, Swarm of Animated Books, Tenebran Stalker, the Librarian, the Animated Ink. So lots of fun things in here, and I like the mixture because it's got spells, it's got subclasses, monsters, magic items, books. So you're getting so many different things, 37 pages for half off of $5.95 if you go through the discount link, which is in the video description. And these discount links only last for a limited time, so please make sure you're following us everywhere, and of course watching these Friday videos so that you can click that link, take advantage of these sales, and get in there before they're gone. So we're looking inside, you get to see 7 of those 37 pages. So they have this random book table as well as book sorting. So you see here it's got A blank book is in here. There's something called Mr. Bitey, which is a magical book, the Book of Ilmater, Law Book of Torm, Auction House Inventory. I mean, so many different random book titles. Some of them, of course, are mundane, but that's good because you can't have your characters pulling only magical books off the shelves all the time, right? It says Appearances of the Fish People on the Sword Coast, 1368 to 1371, right? So many different interesting titles. Anatomy of a Lock, Smithing, Maps of the Known World, and then you get into the magical books. You've got Firemaker's Friend, Heiress of the Heart, and we'll read one of these in just a minute because they're so interesting and detailed, and I think that it really brings it to life. And then you've got a whole section on non-magical books, like All About Turnips or Anatomy of a Lock, like we mentioned earlier. And I mean, even on Anatomy of a Lock, there's 3 paragraphs. So that's plenty of information to really sink your teeth into. Let's go up here and read about Heiress of the Heart. It's by Alandra Earthright. It's written in Common. It says this book appears to be a romance novel about protagonist Vemona Salenbro, who is set to inherit a small island kingdom if her mother and father approve of who she chooses to wed. Unfortunately, the 3 of them all have different ideas about who would be the best suitor, and it goes on about the pros and cons of different suitors. The book is surprisingly dry, full of boring and long descriptions of uneventful dinner parties, and is not at all steamy or interesting. The book is actually a lost duplicitous manuscript from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which has been lost in the library. The book has an additional magical effect. The wizard attuned to the spellbook can use an action to pull either a real fine handkerchief or a single real red rose from within the book. Once the book has produced either, it can't produce another item until the next dawn. So very fun background with some surface text, but then underneath it there's something kind of hidden. And that's just one example, right? You could go on and on. Read In the Shadows of the Giants, Prophecies of Aluando, Stories of the Summer Court. I mean, there's so many choices in here, and I'm sure you could read through this and get inspired to create your own books for inclusion in your campaign as well. And again, it's only going to be half of $5.95, so roughly $3 to get all of this information, support Django Games, and to participate in these limited time discounts every week. So take advantage of it. Look for it in the video description links. It'll be the first one in the timestamps after the introduction. Candlekeep Codex. Gotta grab it and check it out. Next, I want to talk about some very special bundles that are being offered this week on both DriveThruRPG and Dungeon Masters Guild. I'm only showing on screen right now the Dungeon Masters Guild, but I want you to know they have this similar kind of bundles on DriveThruRPG. The ones on DriveThru aren't as related to Dungeons and Dragons as the one on DM's Guild, so that's why I'm showing just those. But understand there are others you can take advantage of too. And these are great because what they're doing is they are supporting Doctors Without Borders responding in Ukraine. So as you probably know, there is a conflict happening in Ukraine. And so people are getting injured and they need medical aid. And Doctors Without Borders is an organization that is helping people deal with the medical emergencies that are happening in Ukraine. And so by purchasing these bundles, all of the proceeds are going to Doctors Without Border, because you can see here even Wizards of the Coast has waived their licensing fee so that anybody who purchases these, the money is literally going to go straight to Doctors Without Borders. There's not going to be a cut of it. It's going to go straight to them, and that's much needed for the medical supplies and support and travel and all of that stuff that has to happen for these doctors to provide this care. So when you purchase one of these awesome bundles, you are helping people live, basically, because these doctors are going to help people survive some of the medical situations that are happening over there. So I really, really encourage you to do it. I've already purchased one. We're going to look at the one I purchased here in a second, but there's several options. There's an Adventures League one. There's one for just player options for $9.99. The Adventures League one is only $9.99. And then there's 2 mega bundles that are basically $20 each, and you're saving 89, 88, 85% on these off of the cover price for these books. And the authors of the books are basically giving them away because they're not making any money either. So they're backing this cause. They're trying to help bring medical care and support to the people suffering in that part of the world right now. So, this is something you thinking about. What can I do? This is something you can do. You can click the link in the video description for these bundles and support them, help them get what they need. So let's look at the first one, the Mega Bundle 1, which is $20. It says 0 for me because I've already purchased it. But there's so many fun titles in here. I mean, you just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And a lot of these we've covered on this show before. Some of these I already owned before, but I went ahead and purchased it again to show my support and because there were titles in here that I definitely wanted. I mean, you've got everything from A Day with the Fae, All the Weapons, which is a platinum bestseller. So this is really, really popular. There's Alith's Blueprints for Home and Business, another really fun one we covered on the channel about setting up your, own business in the game or your own home location for your party. You've got the Archvillain Archive that we covered previously that goes into all kinds of great villains. It's a bestseller right now as well. Dark Carnival we talked about with Mirrors of Madness. It's a multi-table adventure. Seems really fun. Encyclopedia of Organizations. That was in one of our first videos. We talked about that. All kinds of factions and things detailed in there that you can use. Fantastic Terrain, I believe, is from Crit Academy. Yeah, Crit Academy, who we've talked about many times. Ner'zhugul's Dungeon Master's Toolkit 3, Procan's Promenade, Shrine to Talos, which we've talked about as well. It's an adventure, Wild Beyond the Witchlight connected adventure, and then Split the Party, another popular book we've talked about, all about why you should allow splitting the party and all the different ways you can do that. Target Run we've talked about. It's an adventure that is just really cool and fun and well written. Draconomicon, very popular title, and really goes well with Fizzbands, has all kinds of extra dragons and information in there. And we've also talked about Van Richten Dies in Ravenloft, a whole Ravenloft adventure. I could go on. There's so many. I think we've talked about most of the titles in this bundle, and so I was happy to get my hands on a lot of these because I had listed a lot of them but hadn't purchased them. So it was a great opportunity to get them, and some of them I already had, right? But I don't mind helping support the cause here. So I hope you will consider it as well, because these Doctors Without Borders do need your support, and I think it's an excellent way to get tons of books at a really low price. I mean, 85 to 88% off. I mean, you can't beat that. Even the sale that we were talking about last week, the prices were higher than that. So check it out before it's gone. It is the second link in the timestamps under Doctors Without Borders bundles. Click that link and grab one or more of the bundles to help support the medical emergencies in Ukraine. Next, we have Atlas of Dread, an expanded Ravenloft guide by E.R.F. Jordan, $14.95 for 66 pages. And it says it's an illustrated guide to Ravenloft and an expansion to the content introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So you get more dark gifts, 4 new dark gifts to tempt your players with, including cursed eyes that bestow misfortune on whomever they spot. The second chapter of the book presents 7 new and original domains of dread and their fearsome dark lords. So you get some new domains, and one of those is called Basmont, a war-torn city of bones and catacombs ruled by its prince necromancer Henry de Mort. And then you've got Ravenloft sidekicks. It includes uses the sidekick rules from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and spins them into 5 new characters to accompany your heroes, including Eli Frost, a bartender turned paranormal investigator working to protect his town. And then the final section has 15 new stat blocks and 1 new template for Ravenloft themed monsters and NPCs. So lots of good stuff in here, and it all expands upon Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So if you're playing in Ravenloft, or you have that book and you want to just experience more of what's in it, this seems like a really good option. So looking inside, you get to see 16 of those 66 pages, and it's got basically the sections that were described. Some of the monsters include Dread Gargoyle all the way down to a Spirit Medium, and looks very cleanly laid out, really easy to read. So it says, welcome back to Ravenloft, talks about how to use the book, then goes right into those dark gifts and sources of power table here, dark tasks, whole table on those, removing a dark gift, transferring them, and then you get right into those dark gifts. So we'll come back and read one of those in a minute, but really fun. And then you've got all these domains of dread. You really can never have too many domains of dread or domains of delight, in my opinion. So here you go, all sorts of sites in those domains of dread. And with this free full-size preview here, you're getting to see 16 pages. So you're getting to read those first 2 sections of the book, a healthy chunk of those, so you can make sure it's going to work for you. But I suspect it will, because it looks very well done and has a lot of usefulness to it. So let's look at this dark gift here called Cursed Eyes. It says, your eyes are cursed, afflicting darkness and misery on anyone who peers too deeply into them. Perhaps you saw something you weren't supposed to see, and the experience changed you forever. Maybe you are slowly transforming into a Medusa, Nothic, or other monstrous eye-affiliated creature, and your powers are still in their infancy. Anyone who can see your eyes knows something within you is terribly wrong. Roll or choose an option from the Marked Eyes table to determine what your cursed eyes look like. Additionally, you gain the traits that follow. So then it's got sort of an appearance, flavor table here of marked eyes. The first one is, your eyes are an inky black void modeled with terrible constellations. The second one is, your eyes perfectly mimic those of the person looking into them. In fact, most onlookers find very unsettling. I would imagine that would be very unsettling. And then when you get down here, you've got misfortune. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can use your reaction to roll a d4 and subtract the result for the creature's roll. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. See the Unseen. You can cast the See Invisibility spell requiring no spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it this way again. Your spellcasting ability is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. You choose it when you gain your gift. And if you have spell slots of 2nd level or higher, you can cast the spell with them as well. Mistaken Glimpse. Immediately after you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, and roll a 1 on the d20, you glimpse at an ally and unwittingly curse them. A random ally within 30 feet of you must roll d4 and subtract the result from the next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes. If there are no allies within range, you glimpse at yourself instead. So some different abilities that you get with your cursed eyes, and I really like the Marked Eyes table. Those are some fun descriptions. And that's just one. There's a bunch of dark gifts in here. Maybe you're tired of the ones in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, or you want to mix it up or expand what's available to your players, or you want to find a new domain of dread, or you need some sidekicks. Whatever the reason, I think it's a good idea to take a look at Atlas of Dread and see if it's going to work for you. It's in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Celestials Among Us by John Stansel, and it is a solo adventure. It's $4 for 24 pages. It says, a statue of a celestial woman with uplifted arms arrives in Flamekeep and brings with it mystery, intrigue, and potentially devastating events. So you venture through the city of Flamekeep with a companion named Valhorn, unravel the mysteries of the newly arrived monument, and save the city from a catastrophe. So there's 7 of the 24 pages visible here, so we'll just find one little section to read. Remember, this is kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure a little bit, so it might seem out of place whatever we read, but hopefully it'll be intriguing enough that you consider coming back and going through the whole adventure on your own. So there's one called Caught here that's caught my eye. And it says, you attempt to hide in plain sight, blending in seamlessly with the crowd. Your footsteps make subtle noise, your gear shifts slightly and makes a few creaks and groans. You move casually and unnoticed through the crowd, quickly gaining on him. Is that Valhorn quietly asks from behind. You raise your arm, motioning for him to be quiet. You'll be immediately behind him before too much time and effort has passed. The figure lunges out and grabs your arm without turning his body. The voice from within the hood lets forth a slight snicker. Not nearly, claims the figure. His tone mocks you as if he knew you'd be precisely where you were at the very moment of his act. So yeah, you were definitely caught, and it's by somebody who's very aware of your movements. So yeah, it seems like a fun little adventure to play through by yourself, and it looks like you get to make some saves and do some different D&D stuff. So a great way to kind of have some D&D experience, maybe when you don't have anybody else around, and you kind of want to go through that, but you just don't have anybody available. You know, maybe you're up late at night and everybody is asleep, and so you just pull this out and give it a whirl. So it is under Celestials Among Us in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Divine Heritage, an epic adventure in search of a divine heirloom by Igor Communal. It's $8, 54 pages. And it says, a sudden treasure hunt turns into an epic adventure to save Toril. Set during the Spell Plague, Divine Heritage is a campaign set in Forgotten Realms, suitable for first-level characters. So you've got the campaign, you've got a skyship, historical setting of the past closely linked to the events on the world of Toril, the return of the ruthless shadow vars of the Empire of Netheril as terrifying adversaries. You've got color maps and a description of 𝘼𝙤𝙘𝙀, the flying city heir to the greatness of 𝘼𝙤𝙘. So lots of fun Forgotten Realms stuff. You get to see 4 of the 54 pages in the preview. Talks about character progression. Then you go right into part 1 with Panic in Westgate. And you can see the maps and the flavor text. So let's read the very first flavor text box. It says, the inn's common room is crowded with patrons sitting at the tables or at the counter. They drink and eat relaxed. The atmosphere is that of a lazy autumn evening. You are comfortably seated at your table at the Gentle Moon Inn, enjoying the warmth of the fireplace and a good dinner of stew. As you relax and watch the other patrons, the door opens and a dash of fresh air makes its way into the room. An old elf wrapped in a hooded cloak enters the inn. He holds an object wrapped in a cloth to his chest. The elf quickly looks around to assess possible threats, then quickly passes through the common room directed towards the kitchens. Shortly after, 2 bad-looking individuals enter the inn, who see the elf now close to the kitchen door. The elf turns and, spotting the newcomer, sprints to the door, but the 2 thugs have already noticed him and immediately jump in pursuit. So getting the action started quickly, and then you get a whole section on the Gentle Moon Inn over here, and it shows kind of the layout of all the buildings and the alleys and stuff. So yeah, it could be a fun little adventure. It's 54 pages, so there's going to be a lot of information in there for you as a dungeon master, and it's $8, so check it out in the links below under Divine Heritage. Next, we have Encyclopedia Formulae Arcana Volume K from R.P. Davis, Brian Holmes. And this is part of a series. We've covered a lot of the previous editions, and actually 2 came out this week. One was K and one was J. And what these are is a series of books that is going through the older editions of Dungeons & Dragons and converting spells from 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, etc., Dragon Magazine, all these sources, and converting them to 5th edition. And the authors are going letter by letter so that they cover every single, spell. There's some that you obviously can't convert because they use mechanics that no longer exist, or they would take the place of a subclasses feature, and so you don't want to have that kind of conflict. So not every single spell, but the vast majority of them. I mean, these books are lengthy with tons of spells. You can see I've already purchased it because I've bought every book in this series. I love spells, and I like to look at these older spells that I remember and just kind of see them again with fresh eyes. So really fun series, and I've been enjoying getting them, and I get excited when the new ones come out. So says it converts every spell we can find from 1st, 2nd, 3rd editions and updates and prepares them for 5th edition. It says what sources were used. It's easier to tell you what didn't find its way into the books. If a spell it isn't here, is if a spell is not in here, it's because it's already in an official 5th edition book. It duplicates a 5th edition class or subclass ability, has no mechanical impact in 5th edition, such as those that target alignment, for example. It deals damage not encompassed by 5th edition's designs, such as those impacting ability scores, or it's from Dragon Magazine because the authors don't have a complete collection. Although I have quite a few of those, so reach out to me, authors, if you want. If there's particular ones you're missing, I can look and see if I have it. But yeah, there's a printer-friendly version in here, which is nice. Just really helpful if you like spells. And they've also, of course, assigned them to the classes. And, the Artificer didn't exist, so the Artificer gets some of these, even though, they weren't around to get them before, but that's cool. And you can see pretty much all the spellcasting classes are getting some new spells. So everybody wins. And, this is just the ones that start with K. So I hope you can check out the others in the series and really just beef up your spell collection through this book, because I think it's a lot of fun. You can see already they're getting close to half the alphabet done, which is excellent. Eventually they'll have covered all of them, and you'll basically be able to pick almost any spell from the past of D&D and then find a 5th edition version of it, so you don't have to miss any of those spells that you used to maybe like a lot. So here's one called Kiss of the Vampire. It's takes 1 action, ranges self, and it's concentration up to 1 minute. You temporarily transform into the likeness of a vampire. While transformed, you gain resistance to necrotic damage and to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. In addition, for the duration, you have the following abilities. As an action, you can charm a target within 30 feet of you that can see you. The target must make a wisdom saving throw or regard you as a trusted friend, and it won't attack you. If the target takes any damage, it can make another saving throw to end the effect. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. If you have at least 1 hit point remaining, you can regenerate 10 hit points at the start of each turns, unless you are in direct sunlight. This effect doesn't function if you took in any radiant damage since your last turn. In addition, for the duration, you have hypersensitivity to sunlight, taking 20 radiant damage when you start your turn in direct sunlight. So gives you the flavor of a vampire, and it's 7th level. And yeah, this was obviously in a previous edition somewhere, and you can relive that by having it again, and that's just one. There's a lot of there's Kiss of Death, Kiss of Draconic Defiance, Kiss of the Toad, Kiss of Torment, lots of kisses in the old editions that are now ready for you again to take to your 5th edition table. So I think it's really fun and great resource. Love the series. Looking forward to more people checking it out and really enjoying some of the spells that maybe they didn't even hear about before. So check it out under Encyclopedia Formulae Arcana K in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Esoteric Secrets of Cilia 𝘏, new character options for players. It's by Anthony Beale, $9.95 for 67 pages. Adventurer, necromancer, sassy old woman, let Cilia 𝘏 take you through the secrets she stole from the dead. Literally, they were not using them. It's fine. And so it's got 2 new playable races, 26 new subclasses, a brand new class called the Witch, 2 new backgrounds, 5 new feats, 24 new spells, and then legacy sets, magic items whose magic becomes entangled together, causing them to gain more powers and abilities as more pieces of the set are found. So very cool stuff, and lots of pages in here. And so you get to see 20 of those 67 pages in the preview, and you can see they've got the races at the beginning, and then you've got your classes with multiple subclasses, and then of course the brand new class at the end called the Witch, your backgrounds, feats, spells, etc., and then legacy sets. So legacy sets is like a concept that you see in video games quite a bit, so it's nice to see it brought into D&D. In this free preview, you get to read both of the races, and then you've got classes with a list of all the subclasses, including some subclasses for artificers, barbarians, bards, clerics. So you're getting to read quite a bit of the book. I mean, half of the subclasses, it looks like, almost half, I guess, and then both the races. So really cool. Let's see what they have for the numerology domain here. For the cleric, it says there are many who spend their lives asking fundamental questions on how the multiverse works. What are the secrets that lay at its heart? How does it maintain its structure, its systems? Clerics who follow the numerology domain devoted to deities of order and science see these answers as obvious. There are empirical truths and fundamental mathematics at the heart of all creation, from the smallest creature to the most distant star. And so then there's a number of features, but let's look at the channel divinity, imaginary numbers. So starting at second level, you can use your channel divinity to temporarily turn the universe against a creature. As a reaction, when a creature makes an attack roll or saving throw within 30 feet of you, you can cause that creature to lose all their bonuses to the attack roll or saving throw. The first time you activate this channel divinity, there's a 30% chance that you suffer the same effect as the target. Roll a d100. On a 30 or lower, you lose all your bonuses to your next attack roll or saving throw, whichever you roll first. Each subsequent time you use this channel divinity before you take a long rest, this chance increases by an additional 10%. So pretty powerful channel divinity there, which is cool. So yeah, and that's just one of the many subclasses in here. So I hope you check it out. It's under Esoteric Secrets of Cilia in the links below. Give it a click. Next we got Forest and Twilight, and it's an adventure for 4 to 5 characters of levels 1 to 2 by Jeremiah Leppert, and it is $1 for 22 pages. So somewhere in the Neverwinter Wood, a new evil has taken root. A group of druids is searching for it to stamp it out. A former member of their ranks is searching for it too, but his motives are not as pure. So, set in Neverwinter Wood, north of Phandalin, this adventure can be slotted into a playthrough of Lost Mine of Phandelver or Dragon of Spire Peak, or stand alone on its own. You've got 4 combat encounters with multiple opportunities for exploration and role-playing, abbreviated stat blocks in line with encounters to alleviate the need to flip back and forth, 4 maps, new hazards, diseases, and madness effects. So, taking a look inside, the adventure is broken into 8 different parts, and we've got stat blocks at the end and maps as well. So here's the introduction, running the adventure, and then you can see kind of how they're doing the abbreviated stat blocks. So, and the full ones, of course, are in the appendix. So if you need all of those, they're there. And then you got key locations, NPCs, adventure setup, and hooks, which we'll come back and read some of those. And then sticks, not stone, resolving the hooks, setting the stage. Yeah, just going through a number of the parts so you can get a good sense of it. I mean, 8 out of 22 pages, that's a pretty good, almost 50% of the book is visible here. So you can get a real good feel for it before you purchase, which is helpful. So the first adventure hook is Guard Work, Barbarian, Fighter, Ranger. There are stories of monsters stalking people in the woods, and the stories are becoming more prevalent. Still, the people in the area need to make a living. Adventurers can earn some coin by offering their services to the people going out on the road or into the woods. There are a few people heading out soon that want an escort back to Tribor Trail, where they will be joining a larger caravan heading to Neverwinter. They offer to pay up to 3 gold per escort, as well as buying food for a day, 1 ration per person. They want to leave as soon as possible. And then it lists all the people in the traveling group, which is really helpful. And then you've got a whole nother angle, which would be recovery or strange magic. So it's nice that they have different hooks, and I like that they're tied to the different classes, because that gives you, depending on which character you want to tie it into in your party, you have some options. So let's read the first flavor text here as well. In the distance, a mass of dried twigs and leaves is moving in waves, tangling with 2 robed figures. Another robed figure is on the ground behind them, surrounded by scatterings of broken sticks. The plants take down one of the robed figures and turn their attention your way, leaving the lone robed figure a chance to tend to their fallen comrades. So yeah, that's a moody little setup there of something happening with these twigs and leaves moving on their own and tangling with some robed figures. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fun time, and great price. I mean, $1 for 22-page adventure is pretty good deal. So check it out under Forest and Twilight in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got the Golemancer. It's a golem piloting class with a unique golem core magic system by Mitchell Turnbull. It's $4.95 for 27 pages. It says they are masters of bringing life to the inanimate. Using their knowledge of golem core magic, they create mighty golems to wreak havoc and shape the battlefield to their whims. Climb inside a large golem of your own design, offering you new ways to devastate your foes. Create tiny golems known as moppets and command them to move about the battlefield, influencing the area around them with the magic emitted from their different golem cores, each offering differing effects. So it contains many subclasses, including Vanguard, Livewood, Pathfinder, Engraver, Clockwork, Battle Gauntlets, etc. And it's, anyone who's looking for a highly customizable class or wants to try a new magic system, this could be good. It's got 56 different golem cores to choose from, offering plenty of choices. 6 different subclasses, multi-classing rules, and it's bookmarked. Always like that. And this author's done some other classes, including the Culinarian, Spellsinger, and Soul Weaver. So they've got experience making classes for you. So that's helpful. So here you've got your table of contents, and then you get right into the Golemancer with the different class features. And you get to read quite a bit of it. So you're getting to read pretty much the whole class and then just part of a subclass. So that's a significant chunk to get you aware of what you're purchasing. So, for instance, the class has Golem cores starting at 2nd level. You greatly expand your knowledge and understanding of Golemancy, letting you harness magic to fuel and empower your creations. You know a number of Golem cores as shown on the Golemancer table. A list of these cores can be found on page 14. You are able to change one type of core you know for another one when you gain a level. You are able to prepare and maintain a maximum number of these cores as shown on the Golemancer table. These are created as moppets and held on your person for easy access. You are able to change the Golem cores moppets you have prepared after you finish a long rest. And then it says Golem boost. While you are inside your Golem and have inactive moppets on your person, the Golem is improved in various ways depending on the school of magic associated with the core installed in the moppet. So if it's Abjuration, you get a +1 AC, Conjuration +5 movement speed, etc. And then it talks about piloting the Golem, creating the moppet, and then here's a moppet stat block. All kinds of fun stuff. I mean, if you're interested in a new class, golems, I think this could be really fun. I like the artwork, how it's showing the different moppets and stuff. So check it out under Golemancer in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Khebu, City in the Sand, a setting guide from Dividestin for $10, 65 pages. Grand Khebu, the city that stands in defiance of 𝙭, the gateway to desert trade and the seat of Great Ka. It is all of this and more. This guide contains everything necessary to enlighten even travelers with the most well-defended skulls of the prestige of our magnificent city. History, culture, demographics, maps, and even adventure lie within. Khebu is a location that is dense enough for an entire campaign to take place within, but is also usable as just a desert city to slot in between unrelated adventures. A player's guide is included, making it easy to catch your players up to speed on the setting. If you want an interesting desert location for your players, this has everything you need. So very cool. I always like seeing desert stuff because I feel like we don't get a lot of it. It's got 4 new backgrounds included, desert treasures and dangers, so that's 7 new magic items and a total of 15 variations, 3 boss monsters, including the dragon tortoise. So really cool. Let's look inside. You get to see 27 of the 65 pages, so a healthy chunk of the book goes into the history, the founding, goes into some of the races, religion, the pantheon, different factions, and then points of interest get a lot of detail here. And then you get a map, of course, of the city with the points of interest receiving numbers, so you can find them. And then you've got a whole player options section with your backgrounds, the Acolyte, Khebu, with quite a few tables on them. The Caravaner and Desert Nomad is another one, River Farmer, and then you got races like the Thri-Kreen, and even racial feats for the Thri-Kreen, which is always nice, and psionics. So really cool, covering all the bases. Let's go back up and read a little bit up here about let's read about the founding of Khebu. says the city of Khebu was founded over 2,000 years ago by several different groups and had long been used by Thri-Kreen nomads who hunted the wild game and gathered the wild vegetables of this exceptionally fertile land. Following the example of these noble savages, different groups seeking a better life for themselves left the surrounding countries and city-states to settle here. Even this early in Khebu's existence, two of its major defining factors were apparent diversity and agricultural prowess. So I like that that's setting things up. It's integrating the Thri-Kreen, just really kind of giving you a feel for, you know, the creation of the city and how it got started. So nice, and that just kicks right into all the demographics and religion, and I mean, super detailed. If you need a desert city or you just want a new location for a setting, this could be a perfect option for you. So look for it under Khebu in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Long Rest Pact Magic and Variants by Daryl Dominguez. It's a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 10 pages. It says a set of rules for Pact Magic that are alternatives to the current Pact Magic system. These systems were created by pure curiosity of how a warlock would work in the world where short rest refresh of their spell slots was not allowed. So if you're interested in experimenting with that, or maybe you're tired of playing this warlock the same way and you want to kind of mix it up, this could be a different way to play it. It even covers half pack magic, variant half pack magic, and third pack magic. So gives you quite a few options. You get to see all the pages, so you can really truly decide, hey, is this for me? And it goes through all the long rest stuff here at the beginning. And it even says you can reference it in other supplements, which I thought was great. There's a variant rule, spell reserve, long past rest pack magic, full caster pack magic, how that works, cantrips, all that good stuff. And then here's the half packed all the way down into the variant half packed tables as well. So let's read a little bit about the long rest pack magic. All spellcasters regain their spent spell slots on a long rest except Warlock. So what if you wish to implement this feature to a spellcast and cast? So thankfully the Dungeon Master's Guide has a variant rule to help us in the form of the spell point variant rules. What follows is a translation of that rule to shape it in the style of the Warlock's pack magic. So the character must follow the cantrip progression detailed in the cantrips known column of the Warlock table found in the player's handbook. The long rest pack magic table shows you how many spell slots you have to cast spells of 1st through 5th level. The table also shows what the level of those spell slots is. All the spell slots are the same level. To cast one spell of 1st level or higher, you must expend a spell slot. You regain all expended spell slots when you finish a rest. For example, when you are 5th level, you have 5 3rd level spell slots. To cast the 1st level spell Witch Bolt, you must spend one of those slots and you cast it as a 3rd level spell. So you can see basically what level your spells are going to be as you're going up, and then how many spell slots you get per level. So let's see. I know, okay, so you have 9 spell slots and 5th level. So basically what's happening is you're getting more spell slots, because I'm playing a Warlock in my campaign right now, and you don't have this many at my level, because I just turned 13, and I still only have 3, I think. So you have triple that here with this new way of doing it. So this is basically giving you more spell slots, but there's a lot more to it. They have all this information on feature levels, Mystic Arcanum, where you get access to higher level spells, and then how to make it work for, if you're just multi-classing or you're doing some variants. So lots of detail, and I love that you can read the whole thing before you buy. So check it out under Long Rest Pack Magic in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Mill in the Mists. It's a supplement for Chapter 4 of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It's $2.49 from Daniel Kahn for 12 pages, and we covered a lot of the titles in this series where Daniel's going through and adding adventures to each chapter of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So it helps expand the transition from the 3 splinter realms of Prismeer to the Palace of Heart's Desire, highlighting the dense mists that cloak the domain. Each of the 3 splinter realms of of Prismeer border the palace's heart of Heart's Desire, yet only Amador in Chapter 4, Jan, knows how to get to the palace. This adventure introduces a scenario where the mists impede the party from getting to the palace from any splinter realm, posing an additional obstacle for the party to overcome. The key to undoing these mists rests in a mysterious windmill just north of the Palace of Heart's Desire, depicted on the map of Prismeer, but never described in the Witchlight adventure. So one really exciting thing about all these things that Daniel's been doing is Daniel's looking at the maps of Prismeer in the official books and finding areas that are depicted but not described, or described very little. And then Daniel's expanding on those, creating whole new adventures or characters, etc. for that. So it's really fun. You get some Caller VTT ready maps. You get Mist Balloon travel encounters. The party learns whether or not they've learned its exact location, that they cannot reach the Palace of Heart's Desire while the mists obscure the way. The characters must acquire a balloon from Mother Horn, traveling across the expanse of Prismeer to the mysterious windmill. On their journey, the party will have to contend with mishaps and forces of nature to avoid exposure to the dangerous mists. At the mill, the party must figure out what is going on with the strange Fomorian that lives there and defeat it, or otherwise disrupt a contraption controlling the mill in order to expel the mists from Prismeer. So you can see it's got a nice wizard-style layout with some fun artwork of the windmill and other things. And yeah, it's just part of this ongoing series to really further expand Witchlight. Maybe you want to just play that adventure over and over. Well, this is a way to mix it up, add some new intrigue, change it. If you're a professional DM and you want to tweak it because you're tired of playing the same old one over and over, you can do it with this series from Daniel Clark. So check it out under Mill in the Mist in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Rat King's Castle, a Guild of the Smoldering Bowl adventure from Keen Hudson. Suggested price of $3 on Pay What You Want for 82 pages. The Rat King's Castle is Guild of the Smoldering Bowl headquarters and can be found inside a magical patchwork sack in the manager's office of their pub and pipeweed lounge in Waterdeep. Over the years, the guild has adopted goblins, kobold, anothic, a few mind witnesses, etc., adding traps, defenses, and homey touches across the castle and turning it into a dungeon worthy of plunder to any adventuring crew that doesn't have qualms with killing a few kobold school kids to make $1. This dungeon springs from 5 years of campaigning with a large rotating cast of players at the author's Sunday sessions table. So very fun. And it says Redevilable, presented with 2 ways to play, building right off the action in the delirious misadventures of Duryea, the Durstbond Volume 1. So the author has other titles as well that you can reference down here. So looking inside, you get to see 7 of those 82 pages, but all these areas are detailed. So tons of areas, tons of NPCs. I mean, look at this full list of NPCs here. It's very lengthy. And so let's look at the adventure hooks. And yeah, look at the castle's common features here. The throne room is one of the first ones. And there's a whole mirror section, which I love mirrors. If you read Feywild Companion, you know that, because there's lots of mirror stuff in there. All right, so looking at the adventure hooks, the first one is Clouth, recover stolen treasure. The Guild of the Smoldering Bowl has been a thorn in Clouth's side for too long, recently playing him for a fool. The mercenaries collected a red dragon egg and a chest of treasure, wheeling them into Clouth's Vale and presenting them as gifts to the great dragon. As the main body of the guild's adventuring party entertained the dragon with songs of his majesty and presented his gifts, their rogue snuck into his hoard, with the Rat King's castle in tow, taking a sizable amount of Clouth's treasure and making their escape. Naturally, Clouth wants his property back. He cannot enter Waterdeep due to the Dragon Ward, and the warriors he previously hired to recover his stolen treasure never made it out of the Smoldering Bowl pup and pipeweed lounge alive. Beyond simple gold pieces, the list of items to be recovered includes a portrait of a dragon. Optional, through scrying, Clouth has discovered the guild is in possession of the dragon stuff of Agaron. He wants it by any means necessary to reward ruling Waterdeep as his regents, or keeping their lives, whichever sounds better to them. Clouth is extremely generous. So it sounds like an interesting character, this Clouth. And yeah, you can experience that and so much more with 4 to 6 characters of any level. And this long adventure, 82 pages. So lots of content for you to play with here and mix up and use however you like. Under Rat King's Castle, in the links below, give it a click. Next, we have The Secret of Sharlo Tan by Andy Smackman. It says, venture beneath a hobgoblin stronghold, past tricks, riddles, and monster surprises to find the famed treasures of the sorceress Sharlo Tan in this adventure for characters level 2 to 4. It's 40 pages, $4.99. Already has 2 5-star ratings, and the artwork here is gorgeous. It says, discover the secret of Sharlo Tan. She was a sorceress, she was a scholar, she was a spy, and she left behind a legendary trove of treasure guarded by riddles, secrets, and the passage of time. But it isn't an ancient rumor that has the people of Rivesby on edge. The hobgoblins of Lamellar Banner have encamped less than a day's march away, and no one knows what has brought them out of their stronghold. In this richly detailed adventure, players can choose whether to play Peacemaker or Treasure Hunter, Explorer, or Exterminator. But they won't be the only ones playing games, as they encounter creatures and NPCs who have their own conflicts and motivations. So, and then there's another link down here to get it for even cheaper. But you got 40 pages, 3 stat blocks, 4 dungeon maps, and 11 all new magic items. So, very cool. And let's take a look inside. So you get to see 11 of those 40 pages. Got all these parts here. Part 5 of the adventure plus a conclusion section. Then your magic items, your monsters, NPCs. Whole section on the riddles with the player handouts and maps. So yeah, if you like puzzles and stuff, this one seems like it's going to be really fun for people that like puzzles and different things. You've got rumors going on here, different characters, encounter tables, which I love. And then a whole section on the Lamellar Banner. Getting to the tunnel complex. I mean, this seems really well thought out and really nicely laid out. So I like that. Let's see if we can read some of the hooks. I always like to read the adventure hooks for you. So it says, the research trail. Perhaps the characters have done research in a great library and found a chronicle of diplomatic intrigues like Jeopardy, Cross, and Entendre, famous doubles in the history of espionage, which contains clues about Sharlo Tan's treasure. And then another hook is called A Patron's Purpose. Perhaps a patron has heard of the present trouble in Rivesby and asked the characters to investigate. This might be a local lord, a trade union, or a mage with a scholarly interest. Perhaps the party has been set on Brondusler's trail by the last person he cheated. The party could even be sent searching by Simon the Rat's former gang or the Legion of the Notched Axe. So very fun. I think all of this points to a really cool puzzle mystery adventure with some characters that can be repurposed afterwards or continue to exist, maybe even a home base with Rivesby. So check it out under Secret of Sharlo Tan in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Stone Cold from the Arcanist's Refuge. It's a Planar one-shot adventure for tier 3 characters. And it's $4.95 for 28 pages by J.D. Mills and Dane Bankston. Giants, wizards, flying castles, humble beginnings. Will you delve into the maelstrom? Stone Cold is an adventure designed for 4 to 6 adventurers from 11th to 13th level. Its purpose is to present an intriguing narrative with branching paths and multiple methods to achieve a unique ending based on player agency. It can be completed in 1 to 2 sessions of play between important events or as a standalone adventure. It begins in humble frontier towns and can lead to an epic floating castle within the chaotic maelstrom of the plane of chaos. So it says 100 years ago, the wizard Phrygian Black had attended the birth of a child destined to become the new ruler of the kingdom of giants within the realm of chaos. The child was small, only slightly bigger than a large human infant. Angered by the belief that his child was cursed by the Allfather to prevent his line from prospering, King Valgard ordered she be exiled, never to return to his kingdom. Phrygian Black pleaded with the king to allow him to train the girl, arguing that size doesn't determine the value of a person regardless of their ancestry. Reluctantly, Valgard accepted the offer with skepticism. And the story continues from there. I'll let you read that on your own, but I like the start of it and how somebody's saying, hey, let's not judge the person by their size. That's a cool little hook there. Let's look inside here. So you get 14 pages visible out of 28. But since they are spreads, it might actually be the full 28 pages because you're seeing really 2 per page here. So you've got new monsters at the end, maps, really fun artwork. background. Here's some of the characters with artwork for each of them, and then going right into the adventure. And yeah, you've got maps of the locations, various places to go, and then the new monsters. Yeah, you're getting to see everything. So I think this is really cool. Lots of good stuff in here. Real nice layout, makes it easy to move around and see what's going on. So let's read the plot hooks here. Appeal to heroism. Characters hear rumors of a gathering force of cultists somewhere in the mountains and are tasked with discovering their fortress and destroying their leader so that they are not a threat to the frontier towns. Phrygian Black intercepts them on their way and instead asks the party to convince the leader to step down from her plans. And then another one is appeal to friendship. If the characters have already encountered Phrygian Black in the past, he will ask them to find his adopted daughter and convince her to come back home before she does anything hasty. He directs them to a derelict cave in the Reaches, where she has begun to muster forces and is opening a portal to her father's castle. So very cool. Some different options there to get the characters engaged. And then you have a whole section on Phrygian Black to understand how to roleplay that character. Yeah, I like this. I think just, again, tons of stuff on offer here. Fun cover artwork. I think it's really worth checking out. So look for it under Stone Cold in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Touched by the Divine by Carl Vandal. It's a rogue archetype for the Forgotten Realms. And it's $1.50 for 8 pages. It says it's a unique rogue archetype for use with Forgotten Realms, but can be adapted to any setting. The realms are famous for their numerous gods and divine avatars. Several of these divine beings have even wandered the lands of Toril. A rogue that is touched by the divine has gained the favor of one such being and benefits from the limited divine energy they have within them. So looking inside, you get a really cool map, and then you get introduction to the class, touched by the divine archetype, all the different abilities. And then it says the god of thieves, Mask, the lord of shadows, the master of all thieves. So you find out about Mask, which is this god. And that's nice. You get some extra lore with your subclass. It's always nice when you get that extra stuff. So let's read a little bit more. Faerun is a world where the forces of divine walk the land. Over time, these beings have influenced the development of empires, forged alliances, and shattered destinies. During the time of troubles, avatars of the gods were forced to walk the surface of Toril, banished from the heavens by Io, the over-deity. Several of the gods were slain during this upheaval, and in some instances, mortals were raised to divinity. Amongst those slain were Baal, god of murder and death, and Mystra, the goddess of magic. Both had taken precautions to ensure the continuation of their divine essence. Baal had created the Baal spawn, his divine offspring, which ravaged the Sword Coast for a number of years after the events of the Time of Troubles. Mystra had placed her essence within a young mage called Midnight, who rose to godhood at the end of the period of upheaval. Midnight replaced Mystra as a goddess of magic. So yeah, just some fun background. And then you get down here and you've got all these abilities. We'll just read one of them. So divine reflexes. When you reach 17th level, the divine guardian watching over you grants you the ability to act with divine speed. After you complete your first action of the turn, you can take a second turn. If you choose to take the attack action during this second turn, this attack can benefit from your sneak attack even if you've already used it this turn, but you can't use your sneak attack against the same target more than once in a turn. You can use this ability a number of times equal to your wisdom bonus per long rest. You can't use this feature when you are surprised. So yeah, powerful, but 17th level, right? Yeah, lots of fun stuff as usual from Carl. So check it out under Touched by the Divine in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Untold Subclasses Gladiator, options for odd characters or unexpected NPCs from Keith Hiscox, $1.95 for 8 pages. And you get the fighter archetype, the Gladiator, 4 new combat maneuvers, a new weapon called the Reinforced Net, and an NPC stat block. And this series, I've been looking at it. It's, Keith is releasing all these different subclasses. And I love that it comes with extra stuff. And I find these to be really interesting subclasses. Some of them are down here. We've covered all of them, I think, on this series. And I love that there's an NPC stat block. Because remember, subclasses are great for DMs to create unique characters out of. Even if you don't allow some of these subclasses to be player options, you can always have them be for an NPC, and just kind of mix it up, give your character something new to experience. And if you like them, make them available for the players as well. Historically, most competitive warriors have been lightly armored, dexterity-based fighters. These brave souls needed to avoid getting hit to have anything like a successful career. This is why we feel tanky barbarian-like druids are actually all wrong for making gladiators. This martial archetype is intended to use in conjunction with the fighter class options as presented in the Player's Handbook and Tasha's Cauldron. It is an attempt to enable players to recreate the standard types of ancient Roman gladiators without limiting players to those types. This structure, with the fighting styles and feats in the books above, is equally able to create a modern prize fighter or a competitive fencer, as well as the more typical sand and sandals circus dweller. So, sounds like a fun concept. We got 4 of the 8 pages, so half the book in here. And it talks about the defense options and something called gladiatorial superiority, and then different maneuvers. So yeah, let's look at this here. Let's zoom in. Let's read this gladiatorial superiority. As part of your gladiatorial training, you learn maneuvers that are fueled by special dice called superiority dice. At 3rd level, you learn a total of 2 maneuvers of your choice. A gladiator chooses maneuvers from the list below, which is a revised form of the battle maneuvers list, Battlemaster's maneuvers list. This reflects the fact that gladiators usually fight alone. Many maneuvers enhance an attack in some way. You can only use 1 maneuver per attack. You learn 1 additional maneuver at different levels here. Each time you learn a new maneuver, you can also replace 1 maneuver you know with a different one. And then superiority dice. You have 3 superiority dice, which are D6. A superiority die is expended when you use it. You regain all of your expended superiority dice when you finish a short or long rest. You gain another superiority die at 7th level and 1 at 15th. Saving throws. Some of your maneuvers require your target to make a saving throw to resist the maneuver's effects. Unless otherwise specified, the saving throw DC is calculated using this little formula. And then here's some of the maneuvers. So you've got ambush, brace, disarming attack, entertaining attack, eye gouge, goading attack, lunging attack, etc. So we'll just unfortunately we can't read any of those, but there's a bunch of different cool looking ones, including commanding presence, quick toss, trip attack. Yeah, so it seems like they've really worked in the feel of like Gladiator, sword and sandal stuff, because a lot of those names even connect to that stuff. So I like that. So good job, Keith, and check it out under Untold Subclasses Gladiator and give it a click. Next, we have Ravenloft's a Ravenloft title called Van Richten's Encyclopedia of Dark Lords and Domains Volume 1. And this is Volume 1. They have 2 that were released, and they're print on demand or PDF or both, and you can get a bundle of them down below. So if you click our link, you can come down here and get the bundle of all of them together. I believe this is a bundle of... Well, it's got each one twice, so maybe it is print and PDF. I would love some clarity on that because I am definitely interested in getting these myself at some point. So I'm guessing because each title is listed twice, the bundle is to get both print and PDF. But maybe the authors will watch this and help clarify either on this page or in the bundle title or in the comments or something. But in any case, it's $29.99 to just get the volume 1. For 396 pages. I mean, this is huge. I think it took them 3 years to make this. It's already a bestseller seller. It's from Miss Factor Press, George von Zarovich, Kim Franzen, Heath Harris. The hardcover book by itself is $60, but you can get the PDF and the book together for $84.95. And it says, from the creator of Real Devil Strahd, CR27 comes an encyclopedia of almost 800 pages of Ravenloft lore shared between 2 volumes. Explore every domain and struggle against new creatures that crawl the mists. Within, you'll find stats for every Dark Lord, new items, spells, and everything you will ever need to run a Ravenloft campaign in any of the domains. In Volume 1, explore the domains of the northern and southern cores, sail the domains of eastern and western seas, and venture to the wandering domains. Face evils beyond your darkest reckoning, from the Devil Strahd to the brutish walking cadaver of Lamortia Adam. Explore every domain and struggle against new creatures that crawl the mists. Within, you will find stats for every Dark Lord, new item, spells, and everything you need. So it covers, if you get both volumes, it covers all of the domains ever released for Ravenloft from Wizards of the Coast, from the very beginning like the very first Ravenloft thing through all the editions, all the way up to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and not just from the gaming books, but also from the novels. So if there's a Dark Lord that was referenced in one of the novels, it's going to be covered here as well. And you can see that they're doing this cool little layout that's very reminiscent of older editions of Ravenloft stuff, where it's got this kind of foggy border because, you know, you enter the mists of Ravenloft, right, to go there. So look at how cool it looks printed. Very beautiful pages, lots of items in here. So I think it's really cool. It's exciting. It took them so long to make this. And I mean, to cover every single Dark Lord, every single domain from all the Wizards of the Coast stuff, that's massive. So I think it's really cool. And they're separated by the various areas. So they're going from Arkansdale all the way to Tempest in the domains of the Southern Core. And then the Western Sea, they got Blaustein all the way down to the Isle. And then the domains of the Eastern Sea goes from the Isle of the Ravens all the way to Vekor, and then the Wandering Domains, of course, as well. And creatures and NPCs, everything from Shadow Unicorns to Madman of Vekor. Items, tons of items, spells, like Wall of Fog. And then here's a whole map of the core, which shows all the different older domains, probably, that you were familiar with from previous editions. Shadow Rift, Iraq. So you're seeing 20 of these 396 pages, and just so much detail in here. I mean, probably every little bit of lore is squeezed in here. And you've got your 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙤 the Fiend Sorcerer, which is a challenge rating of 20. So this is a Dark Lord, most likely, and then has some supporting characters and monsters that support 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙤 the Fiend Sorcerer. So just so much stuff. I think it's exciting to see this work come to life after so much time. So let's read about Shadow Rift Iraq. The Shadow Rift was once known as Iraq and lay to the south of Darkon, though most of its inhabitants lived underground and were presumed to be drow. Since then, the domain has disappeared and the Shadow Rift has formed in its place. Scholars have since then also discovered that the Iraq are not drow elves, like the inhabitants of both Barovia, Darkon, and beyond believed, but are instead fey creatures, some of whom resemble elves with dusky skin. Not much is known of Iraq before the Grand Conjunction. The inhabitants lived underground and kept to themselves. Anyone who ventured there risked being captured and dragged into the underworld, never to be seen again. In many ways, the same state of affairs applies still, but since the appearance of the Shadow Rift, fey creatures have become far more common in the lands surrounding the domain, and the scholars have been able to deduce much from the information gleaned from the creatures, somewhat able to piece together what lies within the rift. The Shadow Rift is a fey land that, despite having no sun, is lush with vegetation half the time, and a winter wasteland the other half. And above it all rolls the mist, keeping any natural sunlight out, and that is probably for the best, at least from the viewpoint of the Iraq, as sunlight is deadly to all of them. The Iraq themselves are somewhat of a misnomer, as unlike in other lands, the Iraq consists of at least 9 different races of Fae, all of whom have influence in either the Seelie or the Unseelie court, and all of them owe allegiance to the law of Iraq. So, I mean, just tons of detail here, right? Really getting every little tidbit for the lore. And then you've got this map showing where everything is, and the Shadow Rift is right here in the middle. And, you know, you got Barovia down here in Darkon, and many of the places that are going to be discussed in this book. And it's a 2-volume encyclopedia, and the first volume is 400 pages. So it's going to be almost 800 when you combine them together. And look at how nice it looks in print. So remember, you can click the link, come here and purchase volume 1, or you can, once you've clicked the link, come down here and consider the bundle, or even get to the second volume if you want. So that's cool. In fact, let's see if we can click on the bundle real fast and see if it's the hardcover or not. So yeah, okay, it says PDF. Yes, so it is right. So the authors don't need to clarify this. If you buy this bundle, you get the PDF and the hardcover for each of the books, which is a really, really cool deal. So it's $152 to get basically everything. And that's a really nice discount to get all of that. So I love it. I think it's much needed. People miss a lot of those old domains. And now you have all of them, plus all the new ones, which a lot of the new ones are really awesome too. So it's nice to have them all combined together in basically almost an 800-page, lore-filled volume, and having even the Dark Lord stat blocks. I mean, those weren't in Van Richten's guide, so having those is going to be super helpful. So I really hope you check this out. Give it a click in our links. And go here and learn more about it. And you can read all about the Shadow Rift for free if you want. Well, that's our last DM's Guild title of the week. We're going to move on to DriveThruRPG. But before we do, please click those links in the video description. Support these creators. Help them continue to produce these kinds of works. As a creator myself, I can say every purchase really helps people either with their livelihood or to keep creating for you. And if you click any of those links, you're helping support the channel. Even if you click a link and buy something we didn't even talk about today, you're going to help the channel. So if you can do your shopping through our links, that really helps us a lot too, to continue to bring you some cool stuff. And we have 5 titles we released in 2021, working on multiple titles right now for 2022 that I can't talk about yet, but I'm going to keep dropping little Easter egg hints for you so that hopefully you can pick up a little bit of what's coming. I'm excited. It's this next book is something that doesn't have its own book, so it'll be really cool to have a book devoted to it. Anyway, in 2021, we had the Feywild Companion, which is now available as a hardcover. It was already available as a softcover, but it's now expanded to a hardcover as well. And it's over 150 pages of Feywild goodness, from spells to subclasses to adventures, monsters. Anything you could need for the Feywild is in there. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is print-on-demand softcover or digital. And it covers potions inside and out, and there is a lot of lore in there with stories for each potion, and that lore over time will become more important as Splinterverse Media continues to release titles, because we're going to keep building on that lore, bringing things together for various future titles, so that if you get that Potions Unlocked and you absorb those stories, you're going to be well positioned to really get the reward of some things that are coming in some of the future books from Splinterverse Media. And then we've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, so many dragon-themed things in there, subclasses for every single class, and familiar horde magic items, adventure hooks, just tons of dragon cool things. So if you like dragons at all, you can grab that book and have a really good time. Then we've also got Van Richten's Library of Lineages, which is devoted to lineages, optional rules for them, and then 4 that can be used in any setting. They're really conflict-driven lineages, so it can show you the limits of what you can do with a lineage. And then we've got Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race that combines the Drow and Duergar in an interesting way with deities and fortune-telling. So check that out as well. All in the links in the video description. And please follow us everywhere at Splinterverse. We're on all the social media channels and on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook every day during the week. Work days, we are releasing content for you, whether it's trinkets, exclusive discounts, little D6 tables, adventure hooks, poll questions, you name it, it's there. We'd love for you to come engage us and participate in those discussions. We have a lot of fun, especially the adventure hook ones. We get a lot of people telling us what they would do with those hooks, and it's free. So our first drive-through title of the week is Amric of Burgöthia from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧 with a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 11 pages. It says, hither comes Amric the Burgöthian, ginger-haired, hawk-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reaver, a slayer with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of Zool under his booted feet. The next sword and sorcery NPC for our free city of Vadashar line, Amric is a barbarian prince from the far north who has traveled the world's oceans, wastelands, and dark places in search of freedom and adventure. A strategist as well as a tactician, he can be a sturdy ally or a fearsome foe for your PCs as they slink through the alleyways of the free city. So this is part of a series we've looked at quite a few of from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀, and this is giving you a NPC that you can use for the free city or elsewhere. This one can be your enemy, it can be an ally, or just even a background character. So let's take a look inside so you get to see the entirety of the book in the preview. So it's got a little table of contents here, and then you've got an intro to Vateshar, the free city of Vateshar, and then tips on adding Amric to your campaign, and then you get right into the Barbarian Prince with some cool artwork all the way down to the stat block. Looks like CR12, CR 13 for Amric, so keep that in mind. I think that's good. You can use that later, or even maybe start, if you don't plan to have Amric be a foe, you could have the characters meet Amric early, and then maybe he becomes an ally when CR 13 fits the party, or whatever. Change the CR. So very cool. All right, so we're on to the little description here. It says he was born into a fierce clan of warriors and sea raiders who live along the fertile northwest coast of Burgöthia in the farthest northern reaches of the mega-continent of 𝙬𝙬. His father Strom was a warrior and a ranger of the Saxony, a southern Burgöthian tribe that had been engaged in a centuries-long blood feud with the Arvari, the largest and most powerful of the warring Burgöthian tribes. In one decisive battle, an entire Saxony raiding party was killed except for the 16-year-old Strom. As was the custom of those peoples, upon his capture, he was compelled into service of the victors. He was taken into the household of none other than the king of Arvari, who failed to gain the fierce and untamable Strom's submission, and in punishment ordered him held in shackles, a situation he endured for 5 years. Then, one savage winter, a band of marauding ogres laid waste to the villages surrounding the Arvari chief city, killing many of the clan's strongest warriors, including the king's son and heir. The Arvari king offered the headstrong Strom a choice to live out his life in service to his conquerors or to join them in defending against the rampaging monsters. So that's kind of the intro to how Amric became who he is today, and I like that background, that he was, kind of the lone survivor and was forced to submit, and he chose not to, and basically was in shackles for years, and then got a deal proposed to him by the king. So that sounds like a very cinematic story, origin story for this character. So I'm sure the rest of it is just as good, and will be a fun addition to, whether you play the free city of Vateshar or you place this character somewhere in your existing campaign. I think it could be a lot of fun, and I think you should look for it under Amric of Burgöthia in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Apocrypha, a Mörk Borg adventure from Christian Eichhorn, and it's $14.95 for 67 pages. And it's for Mörk Borg, which is a lot of fun. It says it is an independent production by Christian Eichhorn, of course. And look at all these cool spreads here. Christian always does some really fun art. I mean, Mörk Borg in general has really fun art, but I think Christian's is like among the top of those. Look at all this fun little details. That's just a really gorgeous piece of art there. And even the map is fun. Like this kind of looks like an eye. So I like that. Let's look inside. And you get the contents here. You've got all the different sections, including the dungeons, something called Fetid Sewers, which sounds good, a war pig, a body shop, job boards, monsters. And then, you're getting to see 19 of the 67 pages. So you're getting to see like that first third, which is going to be really useful to determine if it's going to work for your table. It says you awaken with terrible memories. Roll on this table when you come back from the dead. So this is what you're going to roll and determine what your memories are going to be. Very cool. And then, yeah, just see how fun the layout is. It's just kind of playful in and of itself. And it says roll this every time a character dies. And then there's a whole section here on diseases, bloating. Yeah, I like all the artwork and the colors in here. And here comes some maps. So yeah, you really get a lot for your money in terms of feast for the eyes, and of course the content looks pretty cool. We'll read about some of the diseases in a second, but first I want to read about the memories here. So if you roll on this table, and tells you what your memories are going to be when you come back from the dead. So the first one, it says a latent connection corrupts you. So cold, so stiff, your agility permanently decreases by D4 for the second one. And then the third one, the ghosts are coming for you. Wraiths attack you in the worst possible moments. So yeah, that'd be fun to play out. You lost something important, your soul. You know no emotions besides hate, so that could be fun to play as well. So these kind of kick off your character coming back from the dead, so you could really get a cool little backstory. You could probably just pick from that table as well if you wanted to, if there's something that speaks to you that might want to play out or act out. So let's look at the bloating, one of the diseases here. It says a sickness with an officially unknown cause. It infects the young and the old, dispensing death indiscriminately. Insatiable thirst swells the body beyond recognition. Eventually, the infected bursts open, causing violent death and a torrent of guts. Officials, crooks, and serial killers use a special tincture that contains the bacteria. It spreads from corpses and discarded bottles. A successful DR17 toughness test prevents contraction. An infected creature has D4 plus 2 days to live, during which it must constantly drink water, blood, alcohol. Any liquid will do. The only cure is a rare phosphorant mushroom found in the caves of Bergen Crypt. So very cool. I like the flavor of that, and the little picture. You know, it's just, again, a feast for the eyes in here. You can see as I'm scrolling through how fun it is to read all of these things. I mean, even the rooms, we've got unsuspected cellar here. Barrels contain spoiled wine, now flow black vinegar. A wind blows toward the door leading into room 2. It howls like a beaten dog. I mean, that's a very descriptive sound, right? So I think it's a lot of fun. If you want to try out Mörk Borg, or you're already playing Mörk Borg, I think you need to grab this. And it's under Apocrypha in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Brewcastle, number 1 for 5th edition. And we've talked about this Brewcastle before for OSR, I believe it was. And this one is now for 5th edition. And it's really cool because it's related to magical academies. And, you know, kind of like Harry Potter. So I think it could be, or Strixhaven. So it could be a lot of fun for people. It's from Kettlesburg Games. It's $10 for 55 pages. And again, this is 5th edition, author Tom Holmgren. It says, once upon a time, there was a wonderful school of spellcraft and sorcery called Brewcastle. 62 years ago, it vanished in a flash of red lightning, taking with it some of the best and brightest names in magic. All that was left behind was a deep smoking hole. Was it the result of a spell gone wrong? Had the gods finally rained down judgment on their vile witchcraft? No one could say for sure. In fear of repeating Brewcastle's unknown mistake, one by one the other schools locked their doors. But then, Brewcastle reappeared 7 months ago. So it's a mega dungeon originally designed for old school essentials, etc. But this one is for 5th edition. And you get everything you need to start a Brewcastle campaign, including character prompts, an overview of the surrounding area, adventure hooks, the witch who controls the grounds and her force of canny mercenaries, the ground floor, which includes mundane requirements of a boarding school, kitchen, smithy, baths, etc. The School of Enchantment, featuring a warlock with a wizard's head in a jar. And it just goes on. There's just a bunch of stuff. And the OSC version, the Old School Essentials, was rated the best at 10footpole.org, which does a lot of reviews of adventures for older editions. And you even got a little video you can watch down here reviewing it. So that's cool. And looking inside, you've got some cool details of some of the named locations. It's 4 pages out of the 55 that you get to look at. So you can see a few of the little rooms and the cool little isometric maps they have for the different rooms. Like this little tower one here, and then down here you get to one with an owl and a character called Owl Girl. It says, was once an owl, is now mostly human, can speak common but isn't used to it, content with her current lot in life because she doesn't know any better. Will start to have greater aspirations if treated like a person and introduced to comforts like cooked food and soft bedding. And her goals are to learn more about the world, experience the comforts of civilization, transform more owls into people like her. So at some point she must have gotten transformed, I guess, from a regular owl into a humanoid. And that's cool. And then there's some knowledge she has, including she was a member of the flock. Her job was to bring letters back and forth from the castle. She was taken into the castle depths. She slept for a long time. It was wet and warm. And additional knowledge about her. So yeah, that's just one of the characters. But a lot of these, here's the canny groundskeeper. Yeah, it just seems like a world of fun. Certainly timely because you have, Strixhaven. You can use maybe some of the things from Strixhaven if you decide to bring Brewcastle back into, being a regular school, or maybe have another school that the characters have been doing their Strixhaven stuff in, and now they're going to go find out what happened to Brewcastle. Because you could tweak the story a little bit and say maybe the other magic schools didn't close, but there is one that is missing, and then it returned. There's a lot of things you could do, and this is the beginning of this mega dungeon, so I'm sure there'll be others to continue exploring it. But 55 pages is a good chunk, and I think it's got a lot of fun stuff in it, including characters that you can pull out elsewhere, and it's getting good reviews. So I would check it out under Brewcastle in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Carovea Victor from Roleplay Elixir. It's $20 for 160 pages. Last week we covered a free preview of it that they had on here, and now this is the full version, which is really exciting because it's 160 pages of Greco-Roman stuff to do. So I like that. It's a really cool setting, and, inspired by the Roman Empire and other ancient civilizations around that time. And it says, in this world, legionnaires of the Carovean Empire march to battle against numerous enemies on all sides. They defend the vast borders of the empire against barbarians and conquer new territories, fighting under the proud dragon banner of their legions. Gladiators salute the emperor and people in the arena before the games begin. The crowd cheers with fascination as their gladius cuts wounds on their opponent and blood scatters on the sands of the arena. So you've got some traditional gladiator stuff, but then you can see in the cover that there's dragons involved, and then there's this giant, looks like a centipede thing, maybe with people riding it. So it's a mixture of Greco-Roman stuff with fantasy, which I think is a really nice blend. And there's also shrewd senators and corrupted patricians that make secret plans. So you've got the politics as well. 14 human ethnicities, which would be basically the, backgrounds, I guess. One new playable race, 17 new class archetypes, 2 new classes, 5 new factions, armor, weapons, magical items, NPCs, monsters. The ethnicities could be sub-races too. I'm guessing that's more likely what they are, instead of backgrounds. But you've got the introduction. You can see here, look at how nice and clean the layout is, with beautiful artwork, maps. And these are just some sample pages from throughout the book. We're going to look at the full preview here. So there's a 15-page full preview. So you can see the table of contents. It goes through all the different ethnicities. So yeah, I was right. I think these are sub-races. And then you've got the new Gutterkin race, which we read about last week. And then you've got all the archetypes, tons of archetypes, and then new classes, and then the realms, going into all the different realms in the new setting, and the empire itself, factions, NPCs, monster. I mean, just tons of stuff in here, right? And you can see just gorgeous artwork that really takes you back to ancient Rome. A cool picture of a minotaur with a legion there. Yeah, so they've got some different ethnicities here. So let's read about Germanic. It says Germanic tribes have suffered the worst when the Great Orc Raid came. Still, they endured and survived. After those hard years, they started to migrate south into the lands ruled by the Carovean Empire. Imperial legions have fought many times with these warlike people, but today some of the Germanic tribes are recognized as friends of the Empire, and they supply the legions with auxiliary units and mercenaries. Most Germanic folk are tall and muscular, and they have colored eyes. And then you've got the names, and then you get different ability score changes, etc. It says when you roll for melee damage, if any dice result is an unmodified 1 or 2, you treat it as a 3. And then war paints, once per long rest, you may spend 10 minutes preparing and drawing war paints to your body. When you do this, choose one of the following effects. You gain 10 temporary hit points, you have advantage on your strength saving throws, or you have +5 to your speed. The effect lasts until the next time you have a short or long rest. So some different abilities based on your sub-race, I guess. So, you know, there's surely going to be something in here you can use with 160 pages. If you play Theros, there might be things you could pull out and put into Theros because, you know, Greek and Roman stuff are pretty close in terms of similarities and style, etc. You can also click on the link below and then click on Roleplay Elixir up here to see the free preview. Download that if you didn't get it last week, or go to last week's video and get that, and, you know, explore that and see if it's going to work for you, and then come back and buy it, whatever works for you. But if you're in the market for a new setting, or you want to get some Greco-Roman or even other ancient civilization stuff into your table, this is going to be a 160-page option. So check it out under Carovea Victor in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the City of Tirok modular bridge from Black Scrolls. And you can see kind of one configuration of it. It's an STL, so if you have a 3D printer, you can print that. That's what basically this is. And it says, okay, you get something special if you buy it now, and you get a free 3D printable troll miniature set if you buy it before the 21st of March, which is coming up. So you can see some trolls kind of in between the bridge here on the sides of it. And the bridge is kind of broken in half, and you have a troll hidden under it, and these group of donkeys and you know, are trying to maybe get across, but they can't. And then here's the bridge together, and then you can even do, it looks like you can do variations of it. See how it's stretching out and then being added to the sides there, expanded. Pretty cool. You can even go wide like that. All those different configurations, and you can see different little posts at the end. You can have the flames with the fire, or you can have an empty brazier, or you can have these two little, you know, neutral ones. It says no slicer support needed. You can scale them for wargaming. I mean, tons of pictures here, so you can look at it, and a whole video. And there's even a bundle that has other things like the windmill, the warehouse, all these things. Because really, this is about a whole city. It says here, you know, City of Tirok is a 3D printable medieval and fantasy village set with buildings that were great at their height, but after a huge war, they are just crumbling remains of the gorgeous buildings they once were. The area is still populated, but the inhabitants have fallen on hard times. As people come back, the once abandoned buildings are getting new life. So you can see that there's a lot to this. If you want to get a whole collection that was, you know, by the same designers, you know, Black Scroll Games here, you can do that. So it's on sale for $10. And as I said, if you buy it by the 21st of March 2022, you get a free 3D printable troll as well. So pretty cool if you have a 3D printer. And we don't always show 3D printed stuff, but I do like to mix it in occasionally because I know some of you do print as well, which is awesome. So check it out under City of Tirok Modular Bridge in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Duchy of Pinevale, and it's from Dan's Dungeons. And it's $9.99 for 103 pages, and it's also available as a hardcover standard color book for $20, or both for $20. And It says it's a brand new supplement for your fantasy tabletop games. It's a 100-page compendium of goodies designed to slot into any world or campaign as a whole region or in many pieces, with only the encounters built around the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. So you've got 12 settlements, natural geography, 9 dangerous locations, 6 merchant guilds, 3 thieves guilds, 4 taverns, 4 outposts, a chain of nobility, gossip and rumor tables, random encounter tables, and shop inventories. So quite a lot, and all of those things that I'm listing can be plucked out, grab and go, wherever you need them. Maybe you need a merchant guild, maybe you need an outpost, maybe you need a tavern, maybe you need some gossip, This is really designed to be flexible from what I'm seeing here, to be used when needed, which is, I think, super valuable as a DM to have. Maybe you have to do some last minute prep. Maybe the party took the whole thing in a totally different direction and now you have nothing for the area of the map that they're heading toward. So having a book like this standing by to say, okay, first they're going to go to this tavern, that'll keep them busy till the rest of the session. I'll drop in a hint about the Thieves Guild, and then we'll pick up next time, and maybe I'll prep some of the other things in the book. But at least you've got a couple things that you can weave in, on a break, while they're using the restroom or whatever. You can read up on these couple things and then be good to go, or display it on your screen or whatever, right? So they don't have a full-size preview, but they have a publisher preview, so it's going to look a little different than usual. So we're going to look at that, and here you go. You got all your settlements, everything from Aston to Aurelian, and dangerous location, including Tilly's Terror and Summoner's Sanctum, and then the guilds. You have Viner's Merchant Guild all the way down to Nine Toes, and various taverns, including High Hill Lookout and the Lost Anvil. So down here, I think we're skipping around pages here to give you kind of a sample. So this is a region, I guess, or a town called D&D, and it's got information on the demographics, the governance, the trade, the notable people, and then you have this really nice map of the town. So it's got some marked locations, points of interest, as well as a lot of unmarked stuff that you can use if you want, and then you get into the geography, Lake Miro, Lake Tilly, Lake Winder, and then rivers, and then jumps ahead to another page in the book on the Goblin Caves, and it's got recommended levels there. So yeah, pretty cool. And then here's your unique store inventories. So it says Aston's mines have led to a significant increase in the number of gemstones available for purchase, which on average has caused them to be roughly 25% cheaper than standard prices. So here's the different gems that Aston has. And then Dalery, here you've got things like the fishing tackle, small barge that you can get. I mean, all kinds of good stuff. But let's go back up here and read a couple of the characters in Dalery, notable people. So let's read about Bargeman Bendigo Bellows, a wiry fellow with long limbs and dark eyes. Bellows has been in charge of the Dalery Bargers Guild for nearly 2 decades. A local boy, he grew up on the waters, living and working on boats since his earliest memories. His awkward gait upon the land would be an almost comical effect if it wasn't attached to man that had nearly 500 people under his influence. In many cases, the Bargers Guild is Dalery, and at its head, many commoners see Bellows as the real leader of the town. The man, however, is smart enough to know that true power comes from being listened to and followed, not the title next to your name. While the transition in leadership has caused turbulence amongst the town, Bellows waits to see its true outcome before making any moves. So very cool description, and yeah, I like that there's so many characters fleshed out here with paragraphs. So you got, it looks like five of them here, and then you've got the full map that looks really good. So lots of options, and I think like I said, this is great to just have ready at your side if your party takes a turn that you weren't expecting. Seems like you can really get ready to go, or you can place this whole region as is in somewhere as well. So you got a couple of options with this book, and I always like books that give you multiple values as opposed to just, okay, here's one thing That's all you can use it for. And this definitely is not that. It gives you multiple options. So check it out under Duchy of Pinevale in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain for 5th edition, Poison. And it's from MageGate Games, $3.99, 28 pages. We've covered a number of titles in this series. They're doing a volume on all the different damage types and environments. So you've got necrotic, cold, earth, fire, acid all down here at the bottom, or some of the other ones, and there's an air one. We've covered a few of these. But they're basically quick, easy templates to spice up encounters, travel, and especially boss fights. In this case with green dragons, hags, plant creatures, venomous creatures, vermin, or even staging battles in jungles, sewers, or swamps. So you're going to get these different ones here, including Infestation, which is a magical terrain, Jungle, which is non-magical terrain, Poison Rain, non-magical weather, Poison Vapors, Rotting Monster Carcass, Sewer and Swamp, kind of environment details, mechanics that you can lay over top of whatever you're doing. So you get to see 8 of the pages out of the 28 pages. And so zooming in, we're going to look at the first one, Infestation. It's a curse. It's a magical terrain. It says, this is an area of infested ground created by the curse of a god or a warlock patron or a congregation of aberrations, the Fae, usually hags or undead, or the result of an altar, artifact, idol, or relic installed and activated here. The creatures infesting the area are multiple swarms of the same type: bats, insects, rats, ravens, etc. Radiates conjuration and necromancy magic. It can have any area of effect, and then there's a way to expand it. And there's a DC to recognize the danger. The terrain cannot be dispelled. Creatures move at half speed in this terrain due to the constant hazards of the vermin, as well as the physical terrain, whether that be trash and debris in a civilized setting, or roots, thorns, vines, branches, and undergrowth. And then it talks about what happens if you try to move faster. And then you've got the curse of the infested. For every day a beast or humanoid spends in this terrain, or when bitten by swarms, it must succeed at a DC 13 con save or be afflicted by the curse of the infested. So all kinds of stuff happening. And that was just the first page. There's 2 pages on this one terrain. It gives you sights, sounds, all kinds of good stuff to really bring this terrain to life. Maybe you're feeling like your terrains are not very descriptive and they're not very lifelike or special. This series is going to give you some options to really amp it up, add some mechanics, make it different, make people think twice about where they're walking. Maybe you've got some characters that just bulldoze like a bull in a china shop, just going through, knocking things over and all that stuff. So this could shake things up a bit. So look for it under Extreme Encounters in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Pig-Faced Killers from Watcher DM. Suggested price of $2 on Pay What You Want for 4 pages. It says, the watch is bad here. Their abuse of their authority is so audacious, so grievous, so cruel, that the God of Justice placed a curse upon their profession. Any man joining their ranks would see himself turned into a pig-faced monster over the course of his first year on the job. Rather than repenting, reforming, or disbanding, the watch has doubled down, wearing their porcine features with pride, declaring it the cross they bear for their noble service. They call themselves officers of peace, but to everyone else, they're just the pigs. So then you've got this little pamphlet-style adventure inside. So you can see it's got like be basically 2 pages if you print it pamphlet style on letter paper. So you could see the whole book here, and it's got the whole front page, and then it goes right into scene 1 over here, and then setup of the combat, all of that good stuff. Language of the unheard, role play, etc. Temporary reprieve. So let's read a little bit about the beginning here. So it says, the PC's quarry, Officer Bebiris, is in an alleyway just off the main road. He encountered some of his buddies on the way to Central Precinct, 4 young patrolmen halfway through their first year, midway through their year-long metamorphosis into pigs. And he's threatening 2 women with his 2-headed death dog and laughing to himself. He says, what are you ladies doing out so late? Not causing trouble, I hope. I'd better search you just to be safe. There's a lot of degenerates in the city these days. And then it describes how, the looks, acts, hides, ideal, and flaw. So an athletic pig whose cocky sneer is made especially grotesque by his enlarged lower canines and the tusks penetrating through his upper lip and curling back towards his forehead. He affects a tough guy routine around other pigs, enjoys the admiration of younger patrolmen, intends to reach the rank of captain and then quit the force and run for office, is horrified by his physical transformation into a pig but believes it's necessary for his career. And his ideal is sometimes good men have to do bad things, and his flaw is he's wishy-washy, he won't embrace brutality, likes the scrofa but refuses to fight against it either. In addition to that, he's a creep. So, very cool. A little description, pretty flavorful. You get the idea. I mean, it's kind of a parody of some things, seems like, and the artwork is kind of fun. You've got this pig with this demon dog thing, and yeah, you can print this easily on 2 pages, even print it black and white, and have your whole adventure on 2 pieces of paper if you have a printer. So check it out under Pig Face Killers in the links below and give it a click. Next we have 12 Fingers, a 5th edition adventure for level 5 to 7 characters, and it's from Menagerie Press and Tyler Omachinsky. And it is $11.99 for the PDF, or you can go softcover for $13.99 or both for $14.99. And it says Lord Regent Lopen rules the Kells through subtle manipulation, keeping the nobles at each other's throats. Should the nobles realize Lopen's duplicity, they would cast down this tyrant. Recently, several prominent aristocrats have turned up dead and fingers point in all directions. So it's a mystery that's going to need to be solved. And you get to see basically the whole book, which is super cool. Yeah, you've got the table of contents here. Intro, adventure background, different styles of play, adventure hooks. And then, yeah, going right into the adventure. You can see some maps. I mean, I'm just going to do a quick scroll through so you can see some of it. It seems like it's a big PDF because it's kind of slowly scrolling, but you get the idea. Lots of stat blocks here at the end. Let me go back up and read some of the hooks for you. But the good news is because they've shared the whole book in the preview, you can come and read everything and see if it's going to work for you. So here are hooks to draw in the characters. Stopover. The heroes are traveling through the Kells and happen to stop for a night in the Oak Grove Tavern. Another one is seeking the Margravine. The adventurers are looking for Margravine LaCortia for an unrelated reason. Perhaps they are couriers, messengers, or wish to seek favors from the Margravine. Regardless of the region, the adventurers end up in the Oak Grove Tavern when the assassins strike. So yeah, here's the beginning, and I'll read this little read aloud for you. It says the Oak Grove Tavern is a way stop. The sign over the door has a red oak leaf. The tavern has a large stable in Central Square. While the stable and adjoining smithy are well maintained, the actual tavern leads to one side, looking like it will fall in a stiff breeze. The sounds of the laughter and conversation roll out the open door. So, and there's lots of DC checks to get information for the investigation. And of course, it starts going into different things, including here's a map of the tavern. So, looks like it could be a really fun adventure. Level 5 to 7 characters. So, if you've got, maybe finished tier 1, you want to, or you're at the end of it, you want to go on to another adventure, this could be the next thing you try. So look for it under 12 Fingers in the descriptions, links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Weird Fates Volume 1, Adventures for levels 3 to 6 for Osric. So OSR, and it's from the First Hungarian D20 Society. It's $6.50 for 44 pages. It says a cornucopia of foreshore, open-ended adventure outlines leading to the lands of pure imagination. This collection should astound and entertain any company of players interested in exotic locales. That's what a reviewer has said. But it's basically a 40-page anthology, and it offers scenarios with a strong emphasis on player creativity and a non-linear structure. And yeah, it sounds fun. Let's look inside. So already in the 14 out of the 44 pages, we have a flavorful map here with lots of squiggly, cute little lines. I like this artistic style to doing a map. Sometimes you get tired of the, traditional style, so it's fun to have the squiggly line kind of map. And it also gives you that old school feel, right? So I'm just going to scroll through the 14 pages real quick so you can get a feel. It has that real old school look to it. Reminds me of the original Dungeon Master's Guide in terms of the font. And that's cool. There's a whole random encounters table. Something called Captives of Splendor. And there's this whole Isle of Splendor. So let me see. What would be good to read for you? Let's read some of the Isle locations. So House of Embers. Armagon the Ifriti was sent here as an envoy from the court of Hassan the 30th, Emperor of all Ifrit kind, tasked with bringing new blood and sensations of artistic bend for the jaded courtiers. Here he expects visitors to placate him with splendid objects of art. The structure resembles a Maori longhouse, keeps glowing and smoldering without end, yet it never burns. The house is guarded by 14 renegade members of the Nosefangs. Merely spending time in the house requires a save versus dragon breath. And it says a hot iron throne set in the middle serves to inspire artists stuck in a rut, and the cruel Armageddon will happily use it on those who fail to impress him. 10 minutes spent in it inflicts 3d4 HP and permanently reduces charisma or a random physical attribute by 1. Save versus dragon breath negates. Armagon was brought along little of his wealth from the city of Brass, but there are a few odds and ends he could not part with even here. His favorite tapestries woven from spun gold and silver, a drinking bowl with fiery rubies, and an ebon glass mirror. So very appropriate for an Ifrit. Yeah, I like it. It's fun, cool looking art, and I can see where this would be kind of non-linear, different things. Like you could even just take that genie that we just talked about out and use the character elsewhere, or just use that little room, even place that somewhere else. So it's nice to have so many options in one book. And it's only $6.50 to get your Osric fix if you like Osric or OSR. So check it out under Weird Fates in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Your Life, Random Fantasy Character Backgrounds by Micah Abresh, and it is $5 for 64 pages. It says it's setting agnostic, so system neutral, random background generator. It says rolling a random background can help inspire characters you wouldn't normally think to play, to inspire something fresh if you're in a rut, or you can just roll up some random characters for fun. And I would imagine you can roll up some NPCs as well, right? It says there are over 250 unique events for characters, with most of those referencing supporting tables, so even rolling the same event twice won't be exactly the same. And then there's useful supplementary tables. There's the D666 table of 216 trinkets to choose from because random trinkets are fun. And then there's a D100 table of random cultural quirks. There are tables for different injuries, crimes, monsters, deities, aristocratic titles, and professions. And it says because the main events always reference supplementary tables, it's easy to adjust things to fit a particular setting. So here you go. You have 11 pages out of the 64. And I'm just going to scroll quickly so you can see that it's just tons and tons of really helpful tables. And since it's system neutral, that's very helpful because you've got your heritage you can roll for, sex, gender, sexuality, your community, your status, your parentage, birth, major life events, monsters, romance. So yeah, let's read something from the romance. I mean, there's just tons of tables in here that you can really explore with the preview. And since these are spreads, it might really be a 22-page preview, actually. So the first one, if you roll 14 or less, you have a crush on someone much older. Roll 1d6. 1d4, you flirt. They find it sweet and ignore you. 5 to 6, they encourage you despite your age. So then number 23, someone you don't like flirts with you very aggressively and gets angry when you refuse them. Gain a rival. So some fun stuff. And then over here on childhood events for aristocracy, There's one called The Ruler Decides to Take a Chance on You. If you do not have a landed title, roll on the landed titles. If you do have a landed title, +4 wealth. At a grand ball, you dance with someone beautiful and sneak off to spend the night together. Gain a romantic interest. Roll on the landed titles to see what their standing is. So all kinds of scenarios here that you can experience either as events in the game or just background that previously happened to your character. And I like that it's system neutral, so that you can use it for OSR, you can use it for Pathfinder, you can use it for 5th edition. So very cool, and it is under your life in the links below. Give it a click. All right, that was our last title for this week. Now we're going to look at a preview of our exclusive discount for Monday. It's called Infernal Tranquility, and it's a 5th edition adventure from Earl of Fife Games, and it's going to be 50% off. Right now it's regularly priced $4.99, so you're going to get a 50% off discount if you subscribe to our Twitter or Instagram. Follow us there on the social media, Facebook. And of course, if you subscribe here next Friday, it'll be available in our weekly video series, because we will start first by going through a deep dive into the book. But I want to kind of tease it here and let you know that it's about a dangerous cult that begins to transform a peaceful town into a chaotic haven for madness. Will you stop their machinations, or will infernal spirits destroy everything you hold dear? In this adventure, players will guide their PCs in the defense of Tradesman's Root, a small settlement wedged in between a large plateau and a dark forest. And it's for 4 to 6 3rd level characters, or alternatively 1st level characters that will advance to 3rd level quickly via milestone achievements. And it's 4 to 10 hours of play, and the choices matter in this particular adventure. And like I said, it's going to be 50% off, so that's a screaming deal. A lot of the automated deals on these sites, because when you're a creator, you can kind of set up what you're automatically allowing to be discounts. And most creators, the automated discounts, the most that it'll go is 40%. So, when DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild has these big sales, they're working within usually a boundary of 40%. Some titles allow for more than that, but the majority of titles are going to allow DM's Guild and DriveThruRPG to automatically discount up to 40%. So when you get a 50% discount, you got to take advantage of it, because who knows when you'll ever get another chance at that price for some of the titles. And a lot of the ones we're going to be giving you exclusively have a 50% discount, which is exciting, including Infernal Tranquility. So I do hope you are on our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, or any of those, and get that discount. It'll premiere at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Monday. Watch out for that. And that's every Monday this year. So make sure you check every Monday. Maybe take a break from work or something. Take a look at that. Well, that's our video for this week. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, let us know what books you're enjoying or going to pick up, and tell us how your games are going. Anything you want to share about Dungeons & Dragons in the comments. Please click the links in the video description to do your shopping. It'll support these creators and the channel at the same time. We leave reviews, follow these creators on Twitter, encourage them to keep going. We want to support them and have lots of new titles every week to talk about with you. And if you are interested, we have 5 titles we released from Splinterverse Media last year. We've got the Feywild Companion in hardcover, softcover, and digital, Potions Unlocked in softcover and digital, as well as other books like Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, Secrets of the Draugr, and Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. So 5 really fun books, all at different price points. I'm sure you can find one that works for you, and you can give it a try and see what the Splinterverse Media books are like. And in any case, I'm grateful to all of you watching and all the creators for putting out such wonderful stuff. I really do enjoy reading through these books and looking at them and promoting them as best I can. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy adventure.